And good evening. Welcome to the University of Dubuque football show here on this Monday night. It looks a little bit darker in the background than it did last Monday night with the clocks getting turned back and the lights are on out there as some kind of a practice before we got here and got set up for the show this evening, as we're going to talk Spartan football with head football coach Ryan Myeri as the Spartans coming off a decisive victory over Nebraska Wesleyan by the score of 52-7. We're going to talk about that, and then the next game and the final game of the season at Chalmers Field this coming Saturday as the Spartans take on the ranked Wartburg College Knights. So we'll visit about that, and then we've got in our assistant spotlight a graduate assistant coming in to talk with us in Devin Detloff, and he's been with the program 2 seasons now, his second year here at the University of Dubuque, and I'll be anxious to talk with Devin about his take at his position as coach and also just the season in general. Let's talk with Coach Myeri. And Coach, good trip to Lincoln, Nebraska, and no hiccups on the way. You got the a 2-day trip where you have to leave on Friday and spend the night, and everything worked out well.
Yeah, everything went really smooth from that standpoint. Coach Crable did a great job of kind of setting up our travel plans with like food and hotel stay and transportation, and we had to adjust our schedule a little bit because it is a unique travel distance for us, being about a 6-hour drive, and we were staying in Omaha. It was about a 5-hour drive, a little over 5 hours. We adjusted our practice week, and our guys did a great job of adapting to that. Sometimes you get a little concerned, like when you start changing practices around how that might affect things, just because you get guys in a routine and that consistency, and they did a great job responding and showed up ready to play on Saturday.
And it showed up on the scoreboard with a final score of 52-7. And as this game got going, about halfway through the first quarter, you got your points on the board, the field goal, and then after that, opened it up a little bit, 3 consecutive possessions, I think it was, into the second quarter with touchdowns.
Yeah, the first drive of the game, we had a really good drive. Got into the red zone. And then we just stalled out. They stiffened up on defense and did a really good job of getting us off the field. But then defense came back, got a quick turnover, and we got great field position. Again, we ended up a little short with that and ended up with the field goal. Joey got us a nice field goal, and that kind of like opened things up for us. And defense played a lights-out game through the whole game, and they kept getting us the ball back in great field position. We had some great returns by Blake Heffron in the punt game, and even in kick return stuff, and we had good field position all day, so we were able to capitalize that as the game progressed.
Well, through the air, as you've had success this year, you did again. Freshman Joey Romberg got put into the starter spot with, unfortunately, Ben Goltig, your senior, still out in the concussion protocol,
yeah.
But the freshman didn't show any butterflies for the second start, and really threw the ball well.
Yeah, it was kind of a late one, like decision-wise in that, and we weren't able to get Ben ready or cleared to play. So for his safety, we had to hold him out, and Joey did a good job of preparing himself the right way and stepping up, and had a great game, for his second start as a freshman, and in 2 games he's throwing 12 touchdowns in his 2 starts, and he's been really efficient, making really good decisions, and we're actually not limiting the plate that we're giving them. A lot of times with young quarterbacks, you try to minimize some of that stuff, and he's been able to absorb everything we've thrown at him. So we keep maxing that thing out, and he's doing really, really well with it. So that's exciting to see, for a true freshman to be able to do that and, play at that high of a level. And he's had guys around him that have stepped up too, which is awesome. And he's has great leadership in the quarterback room. Ben Rodriguez did a great job too, coming off the bench and his opportunity to play, and had really good efficiency in the game. And he's been a great leader in that room to kind of, show the ropes a little bit, because he's had a lot of experience. And so that was pretty cool to see too, just that growth in the room for everybody and the support that they have for each other.
6 receivers with 3 catches or more, and 5 with at least 1 touchdown catch. So really utilizing all the weapons, everybody getting involved, like you said, stepping up and really contributing.
Yeah, and I think anytime you can do that, one, it shows the depth that we have here, and then also guys' readiness to play. They've prepared the right way, and when their opportunity has been, called, they've been ready to do that. And we had a number of guys that had maybe first catches of the season for them, and they were ready for that, and we didn't have any hiccups with blown assignments and stuff. And again, we were still asking them to do like our regular offensive stuff that they may not have got a ton of reps at, and they were still able to execute at a high level, which was great to see. And I think, DK got his first touchdown of the season, which was awesome to see. And then right before that, though, he had a big-time play on third down to extend the drive and went up and made a big-time catch, and then he was rewarded with a big touchdown not too long after that.
That was one right before halftime there?
Yep.
Got you up 24-0. And then came out in the third quarter, and Jamari Jenkins, 2 touchdown catches again today, as we talked about last week, establishing himself as, I think one of the premier tight ends in Division III football for sure.
Yeah, it's been nice to get him going and finding that consistency for him, and he's a big-time player. He's a tough matchup for any defense. It's hard to leave him alone because he's going to beat most guys. I don't care if it's a safety, a corner, or a linebacker. Like, he's a matchup nightmare. So to be able to get him going, and then that also helps out now the receivers on the perimeter, because he can attack safeties and down the field vertically and win those matchups. So that's huge for our whole passing game.
One of your touchdowns in the third quarter there, a receiver I haven't seen score one this year, Isaiah Martinez. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we've been there's some things that we practiced like for a couple weeks, and that was one of the things that we've been practicing just for the opportune time, and that was the right timing for it. And he made a great catch. He actually took the safety made a pretty good play, got back in the picture and gave him a shot right in the end zone as he was catching it. And that was probably the most impressive part, that he held on to the ball. You take a good shot in kind of like the kidney liver area, and it's kind of like watching a boxer when they get the liver shot in their whole body. It's like debilitating. Their body just shuts down. So he was just kind of down there. He was joking afterwards that he was just praying. That was his celebration, was he was praying for a long time. So, but
well, his prayer was answered. He got a touchdown out of the deal, and helped lead to a Spartan 38-0 lead at that point. He added a couple more touchdowns there in the third and the fourth quarter. But let's talk defensively. You mentioned how well you played defensively. 4 takeaways, I think I counted. And on the flip side, just 1 turnover, and that was a very late interception.
Yeah, last play of the game. Yeah. So, it's kind of – first I'll talk about the defense.
Yeah.
Defense played lights out the whole game. We relinquished, like, they're going to make some plays because Nebraska Wesleyan, like, they're well coached, and what they ask their guys to do, they do it really well, and they're really attentive to detail. And so they had some really good plays in there, but our defense stiffened up and made the plays when they needed to and generated a lot of turnovers for us. Channing Williams had another pick, almost a pick 6. He got tackled all the way down at the 4-yard line.
His third one of the season.
Yeah, so like he's been, that's impressive for your middle linebacker to have those types of plays. And but we had a lot of guys that stepped up and made it, create a lot of good opportunities for us offensively.
Nebraska Wesleyan, just to put some numbers to the defensive performance, 251 yards, 135 passing, and did get net yards, 116 yards on the ground, but held them pretty well on third down, 6 of 17, and they only made it into the red zone 1 time.
Yeah, and I think that was probably later in the game too. They had a long drive. They stayed on the field quite a bit. Actually, it was in the fourth quarter. But our defense, again, stepped up and did a pretty good job. They didn't, give up any explosive plays. They made them earn it, and, they earned it. So, overall, it was good to see those guys get a lot of reps and compete and working to execute their assignments. I think that's what probably is my biggest takeaway from the weekend itself, is just we got a lot of good depth, and we played a lot of young guys, and they got a lot of opportunities in that game to kind of, one, showcase their skills, but also sharpen them and maybe see where some of their deficiencies are that we can grow on and build on. So that was awesome to see and to have that opportunity.
Just looking at the top of the tackle sheet, Jalen Miller, Stone Gorman, Dalton Wood, Landon Thomas, and I mentioned Channing Williams all at the top of the tackle sheet. And, good work by all of them, your corners, and also your linebackers tandeming.
Yeah, it was a great effort all around. We had a great hustle and pursuit to the football, and guys rallying the tackles. Yeah, Jalen Miller had an outstanding game, especially down the stretch. He had a lot of big plays, and he wasn't afraid to come up. He's never afraid to come up and make contact at the line of scrimmage, and he had a really good game.
Looks like Alec Ratchet with the interception as well.
Yep, AJ did a really good job. He's been probably one of our most consistent DBs all season, and he's a great cover guy, and he doesn't get tested a whole lot, so it was good to see, when he did get his opportunity, he made a big play.
I know you mentioned Ben Rodriguez, your senior. Wow, what a drive he led you on for your final, I guess, touchdown, a 97-yard drive, a marathon drive down the field. What did it take, 12 plays, I think it was, I saw?
Yeah, so, that was kind of our conversation on the sideline. Like the first possession, we kind of went 3 and out. And I think sometimes when you have substitutions, like it's like, oh, we're just going to run the clock and, like just keep handing the ball off and, like let's get to the end of the game. But that's an opportune time for our guys to develop. So when they get an opportunity to go on the field, like we still want to play the game the way that we played it when we started the game. And, they did a great job of responding. So we go 3 and out with good field position. Then they get backed up off of a kickoff return. So we catch the ball, we're inbounds. We thought we were out of bounds. We should have just let it go, all that good stuff. So it's a good learning opportunity for our young guy that was returning back there. And he's done an outstanding job all season. Like I said, I already gave him his kudos because he did a great job, Blake Heffron. But then in that moment, we got caught up. So we catch it on the 3-yard line. They mark us down at the 3. And it was like, all right, this ain't great, when you got a lot of guys that are rolling in that haven't taken a ton of reps necessarily. And they just, first play, he utilizes his access, makes a great throw. We have a freshman that goes up, makes a big-time play, and that just started everything. And we were just efficient and got a good rhythm going. And they kept executing and making plays all the way down the field. And that was, to me, the best drive of the whole game. Like seeing that and with your guys that aren't getting a bulk of reps at practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, to be able to do that and put that together, that's not easy to do. And so that was awesome to see them, stay engaged and execute their assignments at a high level.
I know you had to be interested to see how your team would respond from a loss the week before, which was a tough one that sort of knocked you out of conference championship contention, and they certainly, sounds like, passed with flying colors.
Yeah, that's always a challenge whenever you drop a hard-fought game, and like, how are you going to respond to that? And, we keep preaching to our guys, though, is, having this resiliency. And, we talk about resiliency, being relentless, persistent. This week, our main word has been endurance. Like, you got to, like, if you want to be a champion, like, you got to be here for the long haul. It's not something you just win week 1 or, like, we're in the 9th game of the season now. Like, who's going to show up this week? And it takes, you got to be tough. Like, our overall theme has been the word gumption. And you got to have some guts. You got to be really tough and have some courage. It's very challenging to be a student athlete, like the rigors of the classroom, and then being able to do it on the football field and showing up every day. Like, it's not an easy thing to do, and that's why not everybody does it. But if you want to be a champion, especially in our league in the ARC, you got to show up every week. And this week's no different. Like, we may have bowed out in terms of winning the ARC this season, but this is still a championship football game this week, and that's our mindset. Like, we're going to treat it just as if we were playing for the title, because that's what it is. And we're going to do it again next week. And when we show back up next year, we're going to treat week 1 the same way. And that's the mentality that we got to keep driving, is like every week is for a championship. And we want to keep playing at that type of level.
And the final score in Lincoln, Nebraska was 52-7 as the Spartans defeated Nebraska Wesleyan to move to 4-2 in American Rivers Conference play and even up that season record at 4-4. The Wartburg College Knights, the next opponent on the schedule for a Game 9 and the final game of the season here at Chalmers Field this coming Saturday. And we'll come back and talk with Coach Myrie about that contest coming up when we return. This is the UD Football Show here on UDSpartans.com. And we are back on the University of Dubuque football show with head coach Myrie as the day before Election Day. Hopefully you got out and voted. If not already, get out there tomorrow and make your vote count. And Coach Myrie, did you get out there and vote yet?
I have not.
All right, there's still tomorrow.
Yeah, there's still tomorrow.
All right, so just listen to my public service announcement.
Yep.
Anyway.
You got it.
So the University of Dubuque Spartans getting ready to take on the Wartburg College Knights this Saturday for the final game of the regular season at home. Hard to believe we're saying that. I mean, it just has gone by in a blink.
It's kind of like how dark it is outside right now. It's just like kind of
Sunset,
a little depressing. Like it's dark earlier. Actually, we walked out of meetings, about an hour ago, and the guys look out. They're like, "Dang, it's already dark outside." And yeah, it just kind of gets to this time of year and. It's bittersweet. Like, it's exciting that we've got to this point, but at the same time, it's coming to an end, especially for a lot of great seniors that we have in this program, and it's their last home game. They realize they're down to, 8 quarters, for their careers, and so we want to make sure we send them off on a good note. But, yeah, it's kind of hard to believe that we're at this already.
Wartburg coming in as the leader in the American Rivers Conference, 6-0 record. They've been able to keep that record clean so far, as they have played well, when they need to. And defensively, they're always a difficult opponent. Last week, a win 49-10 over Luther, and you and I were discussing this. It wasn't as easy as the score indicates, or at least for the first half.
Yeah, it was really interesting score-wise. I think it was like 21-10 at halftime, which was a little surprising. But at the end of the day, like, they're Wartburg, Their defense has been the best defense, in my opinion. I don't know. I've been around the league since 2015. They're always like the upper echelon of the defenses, not just in our league, but of the country. So they're always prepared to play. They're going to be really tough at the line of scrimmage up front. Their front seven's always arguably the best that we'll face year in and year out. And they're very disciplined and detailed. Like, their technique is outstanding. They play to their techniques well. So typically, like, when you would look at their size, for D linemen, you'd be like, oh, they're not very big, but they play certain techniques, and they play those things so dang well that it doesn't matter how big or small they are. Like, they're just really good at what they do, and they're coached outstanding. And so it's going to be a tough battle. I think they do a really good job at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Offensively, they're the same way. Like, they're going to run the ball first and pass second. They want to establish the line of scrimmage, and it's going to be a tough battle from that standpoint.
I pointed out a stat before we went on that Wartburg actually defensively is number 1 in the league in rushing yards, but last in passing yards, which you had an interesting point that not a lot of people want to try to run the ball, and so they're throwing it. So maybe that's why the stats skew that way.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like, their rush defense, I don't know what they're ranked naturally, but I think they're only giving up like 40-something yards a game, like 45, 46 yards a game. Like, so your option is to throw. Like, and that's what they do well. Like, they want to create a one-dimensional game where you're going to have to throw the football, so they know what's going to happen, and they're trying to dictate that. So, as much as you can, you try to create enough run game or find creative ways to have a run game to kind of balance that out with your pass game. And that's where the beauty of their defense is. It's simplistic in terms of what they're asking their guys to do. Like, they don't have a lot of different stuff, but they do their stuff incredibly well, like elite well.
On the offensive side of the ball, I know they lost several weapons from their semifinal team from a year ago in the NCAA playoffs, but looks like they're doing all right, 423 yards average of offense, and sort of talk about the scouting report on what you've seen from their offense.
Yeah, so they still have a really good receiving core that's back, and, their quarterback, number 7, he started some not necessarily started, but played in some critical games for them last year. So it's not like he's inexperienced. He's started most of the games this season, and he's done a great job. He's a great athlete. He's a dual threat. He's been that way since he was in high school. Just a really talented overall athlete. So that adds another dimension to the game of trying to defend that, his ability to run and extend plays. But yeah, their receiving core is really good. They got a young running back that was played as a freshman last year that rotated or kind of subbed out their stud. So he's got experience, and he's off and running already this season. Done a great job as a sophomore, and they got an experienced O-line. Like, their left tackle is arguably one of the best in the country. He's getting a lot of NFL type looks, and rightfully so. Like he's a large human being and moves really well, and he's physical, and so yeah, they're very talented in all those areas. So even like a team like Wartburg, even though they're going to graduate and have new guys coming in, like it's not like they just emptied the barrel and they got to wait another 3 years to be good. Like they have a good program that develops guys, and those guys, when the seniors go out, there's another junior waiting or another senior waiting.
They just reload.
Yeah, and they reload with older guys that have experience. So it's not like they're just subbing in a bunch of freshmen that have never played a college football game before. So there's still a lot of experience on that team.
They kept their undefeated record together by beating Central 10-6 and Co 14-7. So a defensive battle that they'd like to be in, and so how that'll play out coming up this Saturday. But they won 7 straight in the series against the University of Dubuque, and you're treating this, like you said, each game as a championship type of ball game, and you're going to have a championship team coming in here with a real shot to make some noise before the end of the season.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for our guys, especially for the seniors. It's their last home game opportunity to play here at Chalmers Field and play the best team in our league and one of the top teams in the country, top 15 team. They've been 28-2 over the last 2 seasons. This was their first regular season loss since 2021. They haven't lost a conference game since 2021. So it's a great opportunity for our guys, to step up, rise to this occasion, and play a championship team, championship Saturday, and play at a championship level. That's what we want to see.
We're sort of hoping the forecast changes. It looks like rain on Saturday, but it's 5 days out still, so it could change. But we've had so many nice days that going to get one of those. But
hey, I watched the Lion. I'm a Detroit Lions fan. That's where I'm from.
Okay.
And they played in a very rainy game yesterday. And
you're the second Lions fan I know. So
yeah.
Okay.
there might not be many of us outside of Michigan, but they played a game last night, and you got to kind of block that stuff out a little bit. Yep. It's still football. If you do a good job and play smart, you can still do all the things that you normally do. You just got to adapt a little bit.
Knowing that there might be a wet weather game, is there a way you prepare? I mean, do you work with a wet ball during the week sometimes to try to prepare for that?
Yeah, we do, and we actually did it last week because it was supposed to rain basically our whole game against Nebraska Wesleyan, and it ended up not raining at all. It ended up being a beautiful day, but we prepared that way. Like sometimes we'll have the guys practice with no gloves. You'll wet the ball down and stuff just so they get used to that, and we don't do under center a whole lot, but you still got to get some snap exchanges. And again, if you watched the game last night with the Packers and the Lions, like the Packers had a bunch of snap issues, securing the snap. And so those are things we got to practice with, like a wet ball and stuff, and try to simulate the game as much as we can.
Coach, any final thoughts about the Wartburg Knights before we let you go and we get to our assistant coach segment?
Oh, just again, an awesome opportunity for our guys to play at home, last home game of the season. Hopefully we can get a ton of support from our campus community and friends, relatives, all that good stuff. And even the surrounding area with Dubuque fans, hopefully just like community members can show up and give us support. And that'll definitely give us a big boost. But just excited to go out there with our guys and get another battle and keep growing with this team. And that's what I'm excited for. Again, to your point, like get to this point of the season, it's kind of like bittersweet. And I just want to focus on the sweet stuff right now.
Mm-hmm. Before you go, introduce us to who we're going to meet next. Devin Detloff from your assistant staff.
Yeah, so Coach Detloff is one of our graduate assistants. Last year he worked with the D-line. This year he's working with our running backs. He's also works with our video stuff. Tireless worker. Comes from a great program as well. He went to Augustana College, played his career there. And he's played under a great coach. When he was down there, Coach Bell, and their program's really good. So getting him and then being able to retain him, like from Coach Sweetful's staff last year, he's done a great job for us. Like I said, he's a tireless worker, works really hard for our players, builds good relationships with them, like all our coaches have been doing. And you ask him to do something, he's going to do it, and that's all you can ask for from young coaches, is that they're prepared and ready to do whatever and willing to do whatever you ask of them.
I'll look forward to meeting Devin here in just a moment. Coach, we'll let you go. Good luck to the Spartans this Saturday as you take on the Wartburg College Knights, and we'll be in the booth hoping you get a victory. Viewing it on udspartans.com. The folks can watch the home broadcast this Saturday. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you around on Saturday.
You bet. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you.
Ryan Meyer, head football coach of the University of Dubuque, on our UD Football Show. Stay tuned. We've got our assistant coach spotlight when we return. And we're back here on the University of Dubuque Football Show, and we're to our assistant coach spotlight. And Devin Detloff, graduate assistant, who's in charge of the running backs this season, and also a video coordinator. He's come by to talk with us this evening. And Devin, great to have you come on the program and talk about your year so far.
It's a pleasure to be here, man. I love it. I'm having a great time. Coach Mayuri came in, in January, and, he's taught me a lot about coaching. So I've been very fortunate to, talk with him and basically just listen and, soak all those things in for whenever, I go somewhere else or hopefully, stay here and take those things with me throughout the rest of my life, when I'm raising my family, but then ultimately, to make an impact on these kids' lives. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead, keep going. You had some more thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's all I'm really looking forward to is making an impact on these kids' lives and bringing success to this program right now and then wherever I go in the future.
Last year you were with the defensive line.
Yes.
This year you're a running backs coach.
Yes.
Talk about the transition there. I mean, it's two different.
It's a very different world, that's for sure. And having an offensive line background, just from playing football through my youth, I kind of have a sense of where things are needing to be, where things are going to go, where things are, going to happen. And, having that skill set from the defensive line and trying to get these running backs to say, hey, listen, this is what they're trying to do. So it might not be there right this second, but, it will open up and you will be able to make this cut, hit this hole, etc. But it's very different, and it is not an offensive playbook that is easy. So, it's a lot of things that are thrown at us, and I've just been super blessed. Like I said, Coach Mayuri's been helping us out, and really getting the best out of us in terms of the running backs.
Talk about your running back position a little bit.
Yeah, no, the room is great. Tyler Olenichek, our starter, Noah Rolling, Dubuque senior, local kid. The list goes on and on. That group is awesome. I have fun with them day in, day out. But at the same time, those kids are ready to come and work, and they're hungry for success, and they want to get the ball. They want to get the ball at the end of the day. So,
talk about where you've seen them maybe progress from day one.
So from day one, I would just say hitting our landmarks and honestly ball security. We always talk about that and preach that in the running back room. And hitting your landmarks are imperative to especially the run game. You want to get those linebackers to bite, and hopefully our offensive line can, get off on those double teams and get to the second level, so that way we can work our magic and we can do our job. And I think that has gone a tremendous way since week one, especially in the game with Aurora.
One of the other roles you have is a film coordinator.
Yes.
Now, that's a behind-the-scenes thing nobody really knows much about except for coaches. So,
Yes.
Talk to our audience a little bit about what that involves.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. A lot of ups and downs. A lot of ups and downs, that's for sure. And you also got to, meet a time deadline. These guys get out of practice, and that film's got to be up within, 30 minutes, half hour. Or sorry, not 30 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour after practice. And there's a lot that goes into it, especially when, sometimes the cameras aren't working properly. So you got to find a way to work around that. And, I've definitely had some of our filmers use their phone to record plays. And then I have to go in and intercut it and add those clips where they need to be. And, it's a joy, really, but it is very stressful. It's very stressful, especially when it comes to just getting the plays to line up. Because as easy as it is to say, hey, this is this play, there's 4 other plays that look the exact same way, and they're all in different spots. So in terms of the intercutting, that's probably the most difficult thing that's got to go on.
Wow, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that with us, because that's a behind-the-scenes role that nobody really looks at on through the week, except for what goes into it, and your players do, obviously, and your coaching staff. So, well, Devin, it's been great meeting you. Anything you want to add about the Spartan season that you've enjoyed here, and just looking ahead to the final run up here, trying to build to the end of the season?
Yeah, definitely. I've just been so thankful to watch these guys gel together and really come together and play for on one name, the University of Dubuque Spartans. And I believe that's all thanks to Coach Mairi and what he preaches and what we're preaching. Because really, honestly, if you want those players to buy in, the whole coaching staff's got to do it from top down. And I think that is probably the biggest, most joyful thing to see from last year into this year. But then on top of that as well, these guys are hungry. They're just hungry for success, and they just want to play football at the end of the day. And those are the kind of guys that are going to make us successful and keep us in the mix within the ARC.
Coach Dethlop, been a pleasure meeting you, and thanks for sharing your thoughts and talk about your role with the University of Dubuque football program, and best of luck to you and the rest of the Spartans for the remainder of the 2024 season. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, and that is going to wrap up our University of Dubuque football show for this evening. Don't forget to tune in to watch the Spartans take on the Wartburg College Knights. If you can't be here in person at Chalmers Field, make sure you're watching it on a screen somewhere at udspartans.com, and hopefully we're talking about a big W next Monday night when we get together for the University of Dubuque football show at 6 o'clock on Monday night. So have a great rest of your weekend. For the UD football show, I'm Tim Larry.